about that Tom Brady? He's a Republican.
Oh, we get a lot of shots. Everybody come to their net. We just have to get more and more pucks to the net.
What were you saying about putting pucks on net?
Continue to put pucks on net.
Well, that's the key. We got to get the puck on net.
Pucks on net.
He's got that nick for the net too. He just throws puck on net.
It was nice to get pucks on net.
Pucks on net and driving and making it a hard night on him.
Live on tape from Geeta's apartment, her palatial estate on the 23rd floor. This is Pucks on Net, a Vancouver hockey podcast that doesn't talk about fantasy or fancy stats or alternative facts for that matter.
Hey, I just want to thank the fans for not interrupting us while we were having our pregame meal at Noodle Box.
Yeah, they were clamoring. There was that one guy, I think he came up to the table, and we're like, oh, here we go. Another Pucks on Net fan. And he's like, I have a Chinese style fried rice for Ryan. And we're like, yeah, oh. And it turned out it was the waiter? Like, that was so embarrassing.
Well, I know Paul hates taking selfies.
Oh, Dave. Anyway, there goes the end of the music. Just the three of us, so I'm going to we'll introduce ourselves. My name's Ryan. I'll host it. You got to stop holding the mic like that, like you're pleasuring it, Geeta. It's a wireless mic. It's very sensitive. Did you see what she was doing with the microphone?
Yeah, I was just trying to get a good grip on it.
Oh, Jesus. We're going to have to turn...
Well, this isn't Pucks on Net. This is Dump and Chase.
Dump and Chase is the last segment of the show.
Oh, sorry.
It's a podcast within a podcast.
It's a segment. My name's Ryan. I'll be hosting it.
Hi, Ryan.
This is where you say your name.
Me?
Either one of you.
I'm Geeta.
Okay.
I'm on the bench.
No, you're on the couch.
I'm on the couch.
And I'm Paul. I don't know what I am, but I'm here on the podcast.
You're my hero.
I'm a part-time NHL reporter.
Nice.
For NBC.
Really? Wow.
Yes, sir.
Didn't know we were bragging. I'm rewatching the series Girls on HBO. Just finished season 2, and if any of our male or female listeners want to interact with me on social media about Girls plot lines, I'm here for you.
And I just finished Westworld.
Hey, look at this. We got it all figured out here on a bleak day.
Well, I'm almost finished watching House of Cards on Netflix.
Is that good?
Yeah.
I never watched it.
I'm building my life around it.
Isn't like that lesbian jail show? Orange is the New Black.
Oh.
No, it's more like what we're seeing on television news these days.
Alternative facts. Thanks for joining us wherever you got us from, wherever you download your podcast from. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PucksNetCA or PucksNetCa.
Nope.
Crickets.
Yeah, I'll put that in post. And I don't know. Go like us wherever it is we have stuff.
iTunes, Stitcher, iHeart.
We do that at the end now.
No, we don't. We do at the beginning. We never make it to the end.
No, I do it. You've tuned out by then. I think you might have taken a nap at that point.
From alternative podcast sources.
It's what happens when you watch a Canucks game. By the time the third rolls around.
Well, yeah, you're like, wow, you just announced the 50-50 seconds. Let's get the hell out of here. The Canucks game on Friday night against the Florida Panthers. I've been going to a lot of games on the cheap, or if not very, very cheap as of late. On the down low. And the apathy in Rogers Arena is, Paul, you're at most games. I am. They're not really there the way they used to be there.
No, I go there for a quiet dinner and good conversation.
It was even kind of questionable, the atmosphere in the city when the team was good, but they were selling out.
No, but
I mean, like, there wasn't a lot of like singing and cheering, but there was some. And lately, there's been none.
Who do they think they are? The Whitecaps?
I like singing at games. When my favorite thing is when they have that like third period, last TV timeout, and they play an '80s hit, and everybody's singing along to "Living on a Prayer" or whatever. It's amazing.
They actually they did Don't Stop Believing at this game, and by the third period, the crowd was so lubricated and so jovial that like we kept that song going, and it was it wasn't the Southwest Detroit chorus, it was the second one.
Yeah.
And I'm like but like, you just make the same noises, but they sang a shitload of that song.
On a good night, you'll get a good minute after the play starts up again with singing, and it gives you goosebumps when the fans are into it, but it doesn't happen that often anymore.
But on Friday night when our beloved former captain Roberto Luongo was in town, everybody going to the game was actually like, the thoughts of, they got to lose this game for that tank and for draft picks. It was like, they have to score. Henderson has to score. And then when you get in that mindset, you kind of you want to hope for a win. So that was a crowd that was actually cheering for the Canucks that night. And it was something I hadn't seen all in a year and a half. And it was unusual.
People were into that game because I was at the our home away from home, Yaletown Brew. And they had the play-by-play playing in the bar. Now
that is a big thing because there hasn't been play-by-play in a bar for, I don't know, since pre-Torts, I gotta say. And the fact that on a Friday night game against an Eastern it was very cool to see, and we've gotten very apathetic as a fan base, and it was great. Mm-hmm. And I was there with Dave, and it's you stood up when they scored, and you freaked out, and you realized you were seeing something pretty amazing, and that Sedin got 1,000 points.
You can't get Ryan to stand up at a game and give you a high five.
I gave Dave 2 high fives, one for every goal, and I high fived the guys behind us. And I mean, sure, Dave orchestrated it, but I was like, well, I guess we're high fiving tonight.
And then Ryan left before I came to hang out with them after the game. It was sad.
You guys ripped it up at the sports bar, elegantly titled SportsBar.
I'm into that place.
I actually really am too.
I got some bao buns.
And listen, this isn't sponsored content. This isn't an ad.
No,
but
they
SportsBar.
Hey, we want a podcast from inside there.
We have been there. We have spent copious amounts of dollars midweek on fairly priced alcohol.
This is true. Paul and I were there on Tuesday night closing down the place.
Paul was there on Friday night closing down the place.
Convenience, I work there, and the end of the work day is as soon as I finish in the
it helps
basement.
that your friends are always lurking about.
Now I picture you get the clips, you hoof it up, and then 3 or 4 drinks in, you're kind of looking at your computer with one eye open, email,
The first night we went there, I don't know if you remember, though, it's the only night I've ever gotten an email back from my people I file with that were
NBC Sports. You dropped that one earlier.
The file types didn't work or whatever. I'd exported them as a different type than I normally do.
Yeah.
They figured it out eventually, but I pulled out my laptop and was frantically converting files to a different file type.
Meanwhile, you're hoping we're not spilling fairly priced alcohol all over your computer. So nevertheless, SportsBar, we know you're listening. I think it's time that we do a podcast before, preferably after a hockey game, Sunday or a Monday. We know a guy there. We'll hook it up. But if you're listening...
We'll bring our own extension cords.
Yeah, apparently they don't have... That's team policy, because you're not going to get an extension cord for any Canucks endorsed event. But if you're listening and I've talked to a couple people about this. I'm not one to toe the line of something. I'm not telling everybody to go to Cactus Club, but this is a really neat place. It's a great idea. It's a
good vibe.
It's everybody. Everybody's there, and it's just you're having a couple drinks after a hockey game. It's rather chill, as the kids say.
It's a little more pricey than the Boston Pizza Stadium or whatever, but
no, wait. Why are you at the Boston Pizza Stadium district?
I went there once.
Was it Pasta Tuesday?
Probably. Actually, no, you know what? It was Pasta Tuesday, and my friend, who's also local media and will remain unnamed, was so upset because Stadium Boston Pizza does not have Pasta Tuesday. They don't do the same deals that they do at other places. And
because it's swankier.
So now listeners are going to hear this, and they're going to say, Paul's, he's reviewing a place. He's saying the positives of it, and now you know that the benchmark for you is Boston Pizza Stadium District.
The reason I brought it up is because you keep saying reasonably priced. So I'm saying a lot of people would say sort of that's maybe the low end of what's around there.
Polly, why don't you walk into the concourse and buy me a $9 Budweiser?
It's all relative,
also,
my friend.
Maybe you should add that to the list of places you don't take a girl on Friday nights.
The Sports Bar or Boston Pizza?
Boston Pizza. It's just a plug for our news segment, Dump and Chase.
I haven't done that.
If you are at Boston Pizza Stadium District on Thursday with that gal,
Friday.
No, yeah. If I hear that, I know a great place in the city, a real hole in the wall.
That's Ryan's bit, but
Great.
usually takes him to Wendy's.
Drive through.
Hole in the wall.
Coal in the wall.
Anyway, sports bar, relative to the concourse, as Ryan said, it's a bargain.
It's a bargoon. So what was your takeaway from the Friday night's actually good, exciting game at Rogers Arena between the Canucks and the Florida Panthers, Paul?
It was a really good vibe. The game was actually exciting. It was only 2-1, but there were some good chances. A lot of shots on net.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not the best.
Shot a lot of what?
Shots on net. Shots.
You know what?
You like
Speaking
that
of shots,
soundbite?
a tequila shot at Rogers Arena, $20.
What?
Yeah.
What would it cost at the sports bar? Probably half that. Wait, you can't get a shot at tequila in the arena?
In the arena, it's $20.
That's a lot of money.
The Canucks do not want you drinking tequila.
Probably for good reason. I've been in those stands.
We've been with Geeta when the
People just get right up in there, feeling your face. That
guy-
back episodes.
yeah that drunken fan had about $60 worth of tequila in him. Exciting thing, Bo Horvat didn't die in that game.
Whoa.
Because he was.
I didn't get to finish talking about the game.
Carry on then.
Good vibe in the rink, but yeah, it was great to see that Henrik actually scored it on a very pretty goal. And my favorite part was Roberto Luongo stepping out to congratulate him, even though I know a lot of people complained about that.
I thought you were saying he
That was
stepped
classy.
out of the way of the shot.
You know what? I was already ready in my mind post game if the Panthers won that one to be like something along the lines of like, so come on, we know you played fantastic tonight. You just let Hank score that one just for the heck of it, right?
Well, and
he would have gone with it, but they lost, so no, I'm not going to ask him that. He was not in the best of moods. But I mean, he still spoke to us and was very kind, but I wouldn't ask him that question in that situation. I don't think Roberto Luongo let it in on purpose, but it was nice to see him just step out to give him the little congrats. That's all he said. He said it wasn't anything big. He just said, "Hey, congrats, man."
And that's what you want to see.
Sportsmanship. There's nothing there. It's not like he's trying to support the other team. He didn't jump in that dog pile in the corner when everybody left the bench mid-game.
Rips his Panthers jersey off to see an old blue, green, and white into there.
You know what? They were teammates for a long time, and there's a lot of mutual respect there.
Yeah, and I was really excited to see that if the only other way it could have been great was if
Ryan Kessler was in that game.
Yeah, if he undressed Ryan Kessler and scored, or against AV and the Rangers, or I guess that'd be the only other one you'd want to see. But the fact that he scored against a teammate,
I don't know, it would have been pretty good against the Dallas Stars if like Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin were on the ice. But
yeah, because that one thing they said on the radio,
it's never gonna leave.
They didn't even call them sisters.
Canucks fans.
See, no, what'll never.
And is sisters even an insult? I mean, come on, Ryan, you were at that thing on Saturday. You're at the march.
Sorry, they're all humans to me, Paul. I'm
there
a little more progressive than you.
There you go.
I should be watching Humans on HBO, but I realized something at the game. I'd never seen Jaromir Jagr play hockey before.
Wow.
In person.
Yeah, I've never seen him before, and that was probably because I never seen Sidney Crosby. I've seen Ovechkin. But like in terms of like stars of our eras, I think
he's the only one left from our childhood.
Well, like, I think of who I could still see, and compared to who I've seen. Like, did you ever see Wayne Gretzky play?
No, I never saw Gretzky in person. My first NHL game was a Kings game, but I think it was the year he left.
So, and you saw Messier, unfortunately.
Yes, I did definitely see a lot of Mark Messier. Not a lot, but some.
But I realized that fact because I remember David said that he'd seen him because he had season tickets growing up. But I thought about him like that's probably the best hockey player, the most famous, notorious hockey player I've ever seen play live. And I thought you kind of sit back and think about that for a second. And then he scored,
right?
And Dave before he's like, I don't care what anybody says. If Jaromir Jagr scores, I'm getting up. I'm doing the check salute. And he looks at me. He's like, you're doing it too. And we're both wearing our skate jerseys. And sure enough, Jagr scores on a really nice goal. And we look at each other. We get up. And it's just check salute. And we had a good section of loud guys.
Okay.
They all loved it. They were all laughing. And I'm like, that felt real good.
It is a little surreal. Like, it's at the point now where there's so many players that are younger than me at the NHL. So when I'm in the room afterwards, like, I have trouble enough identifying some of them. But then when you see Jagr in there's something there because he's been playing. Like, he started playing the NHL when I was like 5 years old or something. There's something weird about seeing him there, or like early on when I started and like Teemu Selanne was still around.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to see those guys playing and just in person because there's something, you know, like these are the gladiators,
Well, you grew up with them.
inhuman type of like there's something another level when you're a kid and they're just these like superheroes.
So what do you
Right.
feel when you see him in the room? Like, do you
I
get,
like don't want to talk to him actually. Like,
you get a little nervous?
He's one of the few guys that will make me nervous to talk to him. Partly because of who he is, partly because the last time I asked to talk to him, he's like, "Oh no, guys, sorry, I can't."
But when you see him, it's like that. You can feel that 6 or 7 year old
Yeah.
Paul inside you.
He's one of the few guys that
Yeah.
like I still, you know, like I'm a big fan of whoever, Matt Duchene.
Yeah, but he's like 14.
But he doesn't make me nervous to talk to him, you know?
If he does, you'd be like, what? Like, I've only had that instant. Well, no, I saw it when Trevor Linden was at work before he was president.
Okay.
And he was on
At the gym?
No, yeah, he was just working. He was just peddling the gym
Right.
on the show.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, Trevor Linden's down in the green room, and he was delayed. He's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And I kept walking by, like, to the bathroom and back. I'm like, this is before the podcast. I'm like, I gotta say something. I gotta say something. And I couldn't muster it up. So
Yeah.
I think maybe I don't know how I'd react, but there was that instance. And then I said years ago at a Giants game,
Right.
Igor Larionov was there in his Hall of Fame jacket, and I was like, oh, that's Igor Larionov. Like, just like, that's somebody important and significant. And then I saw Theo Fleury at the Old Timers game, you know, setting up his gimmick table, selling his books and signed pictures. I'm like, oh, that's kind of sad. So anyway,
You love Fleury though.
I love Fleury. I really want to email him and see if I can get him on the podcast.
Guess so.
Cool guy.
Yeah.
I just want to ask him about Kangaroo Court, which is all I want to ask any NHL player about.
I've only been rendered speechless once.
Yeah, I was there. I had to do all the talking.
Shit happens. This is what happens when you meet your high school crush.
Hi, Jason. And he was like, oh, I gotta go. That was literally exactly how it happened. All in a Zach Cassian jersey. Other thing from the game, though, was like I was saying earlier, Bo Horvat didn't die. He got a puck in the back, in the scariest place to get hit, the back of the head, like just north of
the soft spot.
Kind of near the soft spot.
It was like dead center of the back of his head though, and he had a giant cut. He had a blood stain on his collar.
Yeah.
It was scary when it happened. Like, a lot of people gasped.
Oh yeah, he went
audibly, even up in the press box. It was just like, oh.
Here's how scared I was. I watched my Shaw free range app on my data to watch the replay.
Okay.
It was Nikita Trampkin as well. Like,
that's like probably
he's
$4.
Started to unleash his slap shot.
He
should, if he can hit the net. Like, goalies are gonna jump out of the way. It's gonna be like Mighty Ducks 2 or whatever that was. Keenan Thompson and his knuckle puck.
Oh, and everybody just clears the path.
And he is like, when you watch him play, like, you know, he's in much better physical and cardio shape than he was beginning of the year or the year before. But like, he's so strong. Like, he's just one-arming players into the boards, like just shoving them. Their helmets are falling off them, like just flailing about. Mm-hmm. And if he can hit the net, yeah, because he can't really do that.
And he's a guy, like, I think his measurements, like his height is honest. A lot of guys are exaggerated. Like, I find, like, I think they measure them with their skates on.
Yeah.
And
Trevor Linden would be like 6'7" then.
Well, some of them are accurate. Others are listed as like taller than me, and then I meet them and I'm like, I'm not that tall.
Pat Kane, you're 5'6". Let's get Geeta in here for the official measurement.
Anyway, but yeah,
Jordan
he's
Suman?
one.
His Wikipedia says 5'7". His whatever we were told was 5'9".
Oh, I think he is 5'7" because they like he's like Ty Ronning small.
Well, I think I sent you a text. I passed PK even though he wasn't playing. He was in the room and.
But PK's big, isn't he? It's like 6'3".
He's No, I think he's listed 6'1", 6'2", maybe. But yeah, like he was maybe taller than me, but not by as much as I thought he would be.
Okay.
But he is like built, like he's thick, he's strong, and that's what I think Jordan is a similar build, where he's not the tallest guy.
Oh, okay.
But
Jordan
Jordan
looks
weighs
tiny.
at least 200 pounds. So there's some muscle on him. Anyway, yeah. Keith Ballard's the example I always use. Listed at 5'10". He was maybe 5'9", but was like thick. Like he destroyed guys when he hit them because he had weight.
I'm 5'9" in heels.
You could play on the Canucks. Geeta, you mentioned earlier this week. Two things. Besides the dump and chase at the end of the segment, I want to do a quick shout out to regular Pucks On It listener Mike S. from Vancouver. He rated and reviewed the podcast on iTunes.
Yay, Mike!
So thank you for doing that. And if you haven't done that yet, you're listening, you use iTunes. That's all we ask. We're not asking for money yet, but we could be.
Patreon.
I have a
just gift cards.
I have a Patreon Pucks on Net.
You just haven't made it public?
Yeah, I was going to talk to everybody about how do you feel about working summers if we make enough money. So
wait, are you paying us or is it just going back into podcast?
You'd get a cut. I mean, like I pay $20 a month for servicing, and a lot of this equipment fell off a truck. It wouldn't,
Yeah.
That'd be fun money. That'd be apothic red and
ice cream money.
It just pays for our dinner.
Ice cream money. Yes.
Ryan's taking us for ice cream after the podcast.
Can we go to Ernest Ice Cream, Ryan? The greatest ice cream in Vancouver if they want to sponsor our podcast.
What's that? I think that's second in Quebec.
Ernest Ice Cream.
They got a line out the door, but it's for a damn good reason.
Get a cone, get a jar.
Hey, if Brazzers wants to give us money, I will take snaps of myself licking that.
What?
I'm not
what? All right.
She ordered a bowl too, which is the other part.
What's the next topic?
Now I hate to segue back to hockey.
Okay.
But last week you were really excited because you want to talk about Garth Snow.
I'm a huge fan. Garth Snow, the shoulder pads, the whole thing.
Oh, just not. What about his firing?
He just fired the coach.
Jack Capuano. You can say that one. Capuano?
Now you got me second guessing.
Capuano,
who had the best New York accent. It was appropriate that he would coach a New York NHL franchise.
He had the worst absolute haircut I've ever seen in my life.
He's been replaced by someone I've seen play.
Oh, Jaromir Jagr.
Player coach, not quite. You can't play for a different team and coach another one.
Jaromir Jagr could.
He could Skype in.
He told me he was a robot one time. He literally told me that he was a robot.
Now, is that an alternative fact?
I kind of think it might be a real fact.
It's Ryan Smith's good buddy, Doug Waite.
Yeah, unlike Ryan, I bet you Ryan is crying up a storm. He's so happy for Dougie Waite. And Doug Waite actually got his first win against the highfalutin, high goal-scoring, don't go downtown Dallas Stars. That's exciting. But one thing I didn't know, you don't pay as much attention to Long Island as you should.
No.
I thought he just kind of showed up there like last year or the year before.
He's the assistant GM.
They're not in Brooklyn?
Isn't Brooklyn technically on Long Island?
I don't know. I don't know my boroughs.
It's on an island, I believe.
I mean, I think they can still legally be called the New York Islanders because of that. But I didn't know that Jack Capuano had been coaching there for 6.5 years.
Yeah.
Nope.
Like, where the hell did that come from? I thought Al Arbor was there or something.
Not Milbury was still the GM.
This doing research this morning was an eye-opening affair. Quick shout out to our longtime listener and Islanders fan, Andrew from the Bronx. He's got an original Pucks on Net t-shirt, so just want to say that. But I had no idea.
Does he know Jenny?
From the block?
Yeah.
He's from the Bronx, not the block.
Wasn't Jennifer Lopez from the Bronx?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I didn't know the block was in the Bronx. My bad. I've always thought the Bronx was in Vancouver, actually, because I saw that movie Rumble in the Bronx, and you can clearly see the North Shore Mountains in half of the scenes.
Yeah, there's a lot of mountains in New York City.
Well, for years, I just thought the Bronx was in Vancouver.
Now, Paul, I'll pose this question to you because there's a bit of a similar situation in the Islanders as there's with the Canucks. You have a team that wants to be a contender. They aren't really all there. Unlike our local team, they fired their head coach mid-season as an effort to get to the playoffs.
They're a better team than the Canucks are. They're in a better place. Like, they've been bad.
I know Williamsburg is very nice.
They drafted very highly. They've got one of the premier players in the NHL. But he's as good as Nazem Kadri, the real Johnny Hockey.
Yeah, but they have. I mean, that's one player.
Yeah, they did lose Kyle Okposo, and he's like one of my favorites. So that was kind of. But they got a lot of young guys.
Would the Canucks benefit from doing the same thing, or should the Canucks continue with Willie and then stay the course?
It's a different situation. I mean, I kind of agree. Didn't we just say it last week? You kind of keep Willie just because it doesn't matter.
So then why would they fire their coach? Is it
Are expectations different? Because as you've sort of explained, like no one has expectations for the Islanders. No one even knows that they're in the league. I would have completely forgotten.
We don't see them that often, and I can't, honestly, because I don't watch them that often, rattle off names, but they do have a lot of young guys that have been stepping up, and they've got a lot more potential. They're further along in a build
and that's
than
how
Vancouver
the East
is,
thinks of Vancouver.
Yeah, they were in the playoffs 2 years ago, just like the Canucks.
That's the thing. They've just been
But
like
if they
they were in last year
they've
too,
been
actually.
so bad for so long, and when they get into the playoffs, do they make any noise? Not really.
The Isle?
Yeah.
They won a playoff round and they lost to Tampa Bay last year, I believe.
No, but no one cares. Even if the Islanders
It doesn't matter if no one cares. You can still be a good team if people outside your city don't care.
Look at Anaheim.
Vancouver fights against that all the time. No one pays us any attention.
And then when they pay us attention, a bunch of haters.
They got Andrew Ladd, remember?
Yeah, that's the other problem. Like everybody was really kind of liking what Garth Snow was doing. He was winning over both sides of the media and the internet.
Yeah.
And then he took the chance with Josh Hosang.
Right.
But then
he was the bad boy.
He's the bad boy, and then Garth Snow was like, they shit on me when I was a player too. But now, the signing of Andrew Ladd for a lot of money.
He's our Louis Erickson. So many parallels.
If they believe in their roster, I don't know. I haven't watched the team. I don't know how the goaltending's look. Could they be a team that might be interested in a Ryan Miller type of player? Because
they just got rid of a Ryan Miller and type player. They waived Yaroslav Halak.
But was Halak performing
Did
as well
Dallas
as
pick
Miller
him up?
has lately?
Nobody picked him up.
Oh.
I think I hate that I'm misinformed, but I'm pretty sure he cleared waivers.
You would think Dallas would want Ryan Miller player.
Dallas can't afford another goalie. They got $10 million on two guys that one guy's name is literally Carey let goals in. That's how you pronounce it in Finland.
Anyway, it's hard to make a judgment. I honestly don't watch the Eastern Conference that much, and the Islanders are definitely not one of the teams you see on the air that often.
Well, we can't see it because the view's obstructed from the camera well.
There you go. If you got Johnny Tavares in your lineup, you're probably trying to win now.
Yep.
If they can regroup anything, they've got some good young D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Change a coach.
Well, I mean,
a couple more prospects taking a step up next year.
I was kind of aghast by it, but then I did my research. I'm like, well, if he's been there for 6.5 years, he's probably just lost the room. Which, hey, that happens from time to time.
Yeah.
Happened with Bruce Boudreau in Anaheim.
It happened with
Bruce Boudreau in Washington. Happened with Randy Carlyle in Anaheim. It's going to happen to Randy Carlyle in Anaheim again.
Randy Carlyle in Toronto?
Yeah. Randy Carlyle everywhere. I don't know if he would coach
Randy Carlyle.
He likes to lose the room, folks.
And Randy's been a good guy to talk to post-game, so I don't want to say anything.
Oh, yeah. I imagine Bruce Boudreau has some good things to say, too.
They seem like lovely people.
Randy's good post-game
just room losers.
Room.
And he even had the John Tavares of the North when he was in Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
Is that joke old?
No, never.
It's a good joke, but now Nazem Kadri, they did a feature on him on Hockey Night because Dave brought up a good point. Like, whatever Mike Babcock is doing is working because he's not he's still a bit of an asshole, but he is a great two-way forward. Yeah. And they interviewed him, I think it was Elliot on Hockey Night Canada, and he goes, what's different this year? And then he goes, Mike Babcock comes up to him every game and says, who do you want? So he's putting that trust in. And when he asked that, he goes, who do you want to play against? And so he's putting that trust and that confidence in him that he can play against any player in the NHL to defend them and to score. So he goes, oh, yeah, obviously I want to play against Crosby. So the Mike Babcock effect is paying off in spades, like we talked about last week with Nazem Kadri.
Before we know it, there'll be a Kadri jersey in the rafters.
Why? They don't...
He may be a star.
No, well, yeah, he's better than John Tavares, or at least equal. We know that.
Well, in the North, it's comparable.
And funny fact, you bring that up, they just started...
They started retiring jerseys in Toronto again?
Yeah, they used to only honor them, which Paul liked.
Yeah.
He is anti-jersey retirement.
Because you run out of numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pull out the old abacus and you find a new one.
Wearing number 41 and a half, Nazem Kadri Jr.
Yeah, no, I like honoring numbers. I think that's fantastic.
Like the Ring of Fire?
Yeah, same.
Honor.
Yeah, no, I know that's not a popular opinion, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of like the Montreal Canadiens players now being all forced to wear numbers over 50 or whatever.
They're all camp numbers. You don't know what's going on. They're big. Everyone looks like a NASCAR driver.
And I look
It's like
forward.
we're not committing.
I'm optimistic the NHL and the world will exist another couple hundred years at least. I don't like the idea of triple-digit numbers in the NHL.
I want to talk back about the Canucks for a second.
Sure.
We all remember that. Remember at 14 and a half minutes last week before, when Hot Dog Horvat was a thing?
Yeah.
But
what the fuck?
Well, now you think that Wiener Dog was a problem. This kid, his derelict piece of shit father said if Lucas Spiza scores a goal, he's going to buy him a dinosaur.
Look, kid, there aren't any dinosaur mills in North Delta.
Dinosaur mill.
If there were, we should buy them all out
and
sell the dinosaurs for a huge markup.
Can you imagine a bunch of dinosaurs running around here? It'd be a cluster.
Running around in Dave's apartment with all that salt.
Apparently, once we come up with concoct our salt scheme, that
The
starts
city
raining.
thought-
It thought everybody was playing hockey on Trout Lake fell through. It was a very sad moment.
And a pterodactyl emerged from
Well,
the
yeah, one of
crowd.
the ones we bought from that
It
dinosaur.
was like
mill.
a scene out of Power Rangers.
They're-
Which Power Rangers, they're based out of, what is that, South Richmond area called, they shot it down in, what's that?
Tawasin?
No.
Steveston?
Steveston.
Oh.
That's where they shot most of Power Rangers.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Like the original show?
No, the new movie that's coming out.
Oh.
Who cares about that?
What city did that show take place in?
I don't know.
Like
A
Riverdale?
made up city. That was Archie.
Capital Town, USA or something. Libertyville, maybe.
And then do you remember VR Troopers?
Yes.
The knockoff Power Rangers?
Yeah, the ones you could buy at Zellers for a lot cheaper. You'd have to go to Toys R Us for Power Rangers.
And then the Beetleborgs came after the VR Troopers.
I don't remember the Beetleborgs.
Okay, it's been a great show, Ryan.
Yeah.
All of the references we've been able to make, not hockey related.
I worry about when I name the podcast off an obscure White Stripes song or some sort of rap track.
Right.
But now I'm more concerned of everybody that's Googling, like, what the fuck is VR Troopers? There's somebody that's like probably 19 that's like, what the hell is this garbage?
Yeah, that VR Troopers was like one season when we would have been like,
In, like,
maybe almost too old for it. Yeah, elementary school.
So what's more embarrassing? The fact that
Spiza did score in the game.
yes, he got the game winner. Now is it just funny that it's like his dad's like, there's no way Lucas.
Is everyone just trying to get on TV?
Yes.
It's a funny sign.
I like that it's like, of all the people that won't score,
Well, and they didn't make a big. Did they show? I don't remember seeing this on the jumbotron at
it's
the
a
game.
dinosaur. Who cares about a dinosaur? It's like asking like if I'll get 50 wishes or a bunch of pixie dust. Who cares?
I only got 2 Canucks post game, Henrik and Lucas Spiza, and I would have loved to ask Luke. He's a sense of humor.
Yeah.
It would have been a great clip. I didn't end up using anything from him because it was Henrik night.
Right.
If I had gotten a dinosaur clip, it would have gotten submitted. So I wish they had shown this on the screen when I could have seen it.
Although I'd love a stuffed dinosaur with a Canucks jersey. That'd be so adorable.
They'd give him a whale. It's like a fin. It's like, that's not a dinosaur, although it is a rather aged, mammal. It's not the same. Does Henrik make it in the Hall of Fame now, but not Daniel? Is that where we're at now?
How many points does Daniel have? Will he ever catch up?
I think he has 32 to go.
I think it's 31. I think it was 32 before that game.
You think maybe? What if he
Oh,
doesn't?
did he get
What
another
if
one
one
in
gets
Chicago? I didn't
voted
watch
in and
Chicago.
the other one doesn't?
Of course, Henrik would go in. He's the better one.
Yeah.
Are the Sedins first ballot Hall of Famers?
No, it depends who's up. It depends who's up that year. I don't think they're 100%.
Who are they
easy
compete
picks.
against though?
We don't know until retirement settles in.
No, but like who's there that hasn't been inducted yet?
I don't know, Dale Anderchuk.
They're not going to be eligible. They're not going to be eligible for another.
No, but you can also
I
tell,
don't know.
like, you can also tell
Assuming-
the people that are sort of in their age bracket.
Well, like that's the thing. Like there aren't a lot of
Yeah, exactly.
Joe Thornton. Maybe he started in '97.
Joe Thornton hasn't won anything.
Neither has the Sedins.
Oh yeah,
They're real good international players.
they all are.
And as much as I love the Sedins, and I do, and I think they're great, honest, hardworking players that have represented the city well, they are kind of just fantasy studs. They got a lot of points. Playoffs, they kind of dried up. And I saw a lot. If you go on YouTube, you can watch a lot of Sedinery magic shifts against
Right.
Calgary, against a rebuilding Edmonton, Calgary again.
Whatever. Gretzky played against Vancouver.
Are you like? Yes. Yeah. There you go. I mean, are you? I've thought about this too. Would they have been better suited on a team that had maybe drafted somebody much better when they had a high pick the year before? If they had been like key players, all-star players,
Yeah.
but with some like modern day. I'm trying to think like who would be like a strong leader.
See, that's a problem.
Slightly stronger voice, a little bit more emotional. If they had been flanking, not obviously one's a center, but I mean like if they had been alongside running shotgun with some Sidney Crosby type of guy.
If the Sedins hadn't ended up in Vancouver, they would have gone to the Rangers or they would have gone to Atlanta.
And I don't think
As
that-
individuals
Individually.
and in that
That's
draft class.
That's a very good point. And I don't know if you think that Glenn Sather and his cigar or whatever intern was GMing the Thrashers at the time would have made the effort to draft both of them. And so you think that Daniels, one of them would go to Atlanta. The Canucks would have drafted
Brendel or Pat Stefan.
I think they would have drafted Brendel because of his truculence in the WHL.
He was the least tough of those four players.
But he was big, real big.
Was he?
He was beefy because he liked donuts and hot dogs and shit.
Yeah.
I remember thinking the Canucks should draft him purely because you could have introduced him as number 10, Pavel Brendel. Because 10 hadn't been retired yet. But
That's
anyway,
true.
that was the only reason I thought the Canucks should draft Pavel Brendel back in 1999.
But if you think about it, like, let's say they drafted one of those. So that means that let's say Daniel goes to New York,
Right.
who at that time was 2000. They were buying old guys.
Yeah.
He would have been in a deal for Robert Reichel or Gary Roberts or somebody that eventually went to the Leafs, and he would have I think he would have just kind of faded because we will never know how good they were separate because they always.
The year Henrik won the MVP trophy, Daniel was out for a considerable amount of time. Who knows? Who's to say they might not have been better players because maybe they became less versatile and more reliant on each other. Not that I'm trying to put them down, but
I'll say that. I think they are less versatile and reliant on
when
each
you
other.
get into speculative, this is like Newt Gingrich speculative history type of situation.
If some butts for candy and nuts.
Who knows? There's so much, maybe Henrik is number 2 in all-time points. Playing into his 50s on his own.
But it's fun. It's fun to think about because I never thought about that if they didn't draft him, that they would go to one of those two messes of a team. And I don't think that they would have. I mean, Rangers were trying to win a cup, and I think that they would have seen them as expendable because they were all about buying. And Atlanta. Who knows?
Atlanta was a mess for a very, very long time.
Didn't
Someone
you-
would have played alongside Danny Heatley at one point or other.
You guys You guys are forgetting, though, I believe the other pick in the top 4 that the Canucks originally acquired belonged to the Chicago Blackhawks. Because Brian McCabe went to Chicago as part of that deal.
Yeah.
For the 3rd overall pick, I want to say. I forget how it laid out. I think they had 3 and 4. Anyway, but yeah, what if one of them wound up in Chicago and was like the leader on the Chicago Blackhawks team that we see today?
They wouldn't do anything because only Captain Serious Johnny Taves can lead that team. Well,
they'd be the veteran leader. I'm not saying he'd be the captain, but what if like Henrik Sedin?
Yeah, Jonathan Taves is still
was part of that Blackhawks team.
He could have been he could have been the Marian Hossa. That's a good point.
So there's
the what if
interesting
segment.
conversations, but there's no. This is all ifs and buts, and
Yeah.
maybe Patrick Stefan becomes an NHL All-Star in Vancouver because some
Would
weird.
be hard to do with that team back then.
Well, who knows?
Matthias Olin went that year.
You don't get the Sedin, something else happens. It's dominoes, man.
But you brought up the
Butterfly effect.
Exactly.
and
There you go.
And from Butterfly Effect, Ashton Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher makes you think of the Blackhawks. Well, I guess Blackhawks and Butterfly. Jonathan Taves. He was being shit on like crazy all year.
Okay.
He's had the lowest production he's ever had. He's usually about 25, maybe a high 20 goals, around 27 every year.
Okay.
And he had, going into Sunday night's game, he had 7 goals and 14 points, 21 points. That was less than Bo Horvat and less than anybody on the Canucks. And this is the Chicago Blackhawks with all their firepower.
Fatigue?
Yes, because, Jesus, I didn't even think about that. But it's fatigue, and he's also getting that Nazem Kadri treatment where he plays against
Right.
Which
is also tucker you out.
Yes. As easy it is to defend your own zone and constantly check and block shots, it's kind of hard. Patrice Bergeron makes it look very easy. But yes, and he's gone to the Stanley Cup Finals 80 times.
Yeah.
And World Cup of Hockey and this condensed schedule. So he's fatigue could easily be a problem. And a lot of the a lot of the bloggers in media are very upset crying foul because he's in the second year of his gigantic all the money contracts that he shares with Pat Kane. That's the deal that's why you'll see a new guy playing there, an upstart who they'll then trade to Columbus and re-sign for millions, like Brandon Saad or Andrew Shaw, those guys.
Okay.
But then going into Sunday against the Canucks, Jonathan Taves was on the ice and contributed to all 4 goals. He got 4 points. And as I did my research, after I learned that Jack Capuano has been head coach for almost 7 years, I learned that Taves had basically 3 goals and 7 points in his last 20 games. So a point every other game. He got 4 last night. So if the Chicago Blackhawks go on a tear, if Jonathan Taves is just as impactful and important to that team as he always is in the playoffs, I think that the Blackhawk fans should give the Canucks some sort of fruit basket, something as a slump buster. What would you like? A Tiffany frame like the Trumps gave the Obamas? Just something like, hey, you're welcome. What do you think, Paul?
Could we get some more macadamia coffee from them, maybe?
That's not from them. That's from somebody else. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, it's the long-standing tradition.
Chicago-style pizza.
Is that the deep dish with like the cheese on the bottom?
How about some ribs? I seem to remember Hawkeye on MASH talking about great ribs in Chicago.
The ongoing tradition is you'd see Wayne Gretzky score all those big goals against the Canucks, and they'd always be floundering in some sort of colored jersey. So I just like that the Canucks are doing that again.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about the Dallas Stars. They have a long-standing tradition of trolling the road team.
They have got a great team working there.
I don't know who is manning the ship there, but they're doing a fantastic job. As a jab to the alternative facts.
Yeah, because humor is hard to do, and they do it well.
Yes. What was the announced attendance at the American Airlines Arena, Geeta?
1.5 million.
Biggest crowd ever for a hockey game.
Yes.
Period.
Yes, period.
I wanted you to say period.
Actually, that crowd was larger than the one that showed up to see Three Doors Down on Friday.
Well, same size.
Yeah, there was at least
size.
Oh, yeah,
6.5 million.
absolutely.
Is it 6.5 now?
At least, probably.
And growing.
Yes, I heard that. That was a Spicer quote, wasn't it?
I love that's
Period.
Period. But I love that, and they have trolled people all year, or for years. They showed a guy in a Blackhawks jersey there, and they did the smug Willy Wonka, and they put them beside one another, and it's like, oh, tell me about how you've been a Blackhawks fan since day one, ... 2010. And they did Mateos, that guy, that football player that got catfish.
Manti Teo.
Sorry, they showed an empty chair and they labeled it Manti Teo's girlfriend. And for the Canucks, they got the Canucks they played nothing but Nickelback for the first half of the second period. And like I remember watching that game and I'm like, oh, why are they playing? Oh, it's Dallas, right?
I
Nickelback.
love what they did for Winnipeg.
I would like you to read out loud. This is the list they put up on the Jumbotron when the Jets were in town. This has been on Reddit before.
Yeah.
Maybe you haven't, some listeners haven't seen this or know what they're doing.
So please.
Can we read this can we do it like a Letterman? Can you line up a drum roll?
I can put a drum roll in post.
Okay.
Okay, so put in a drum roll and be like, Geeta Reddy is here to read our top 10 list tonight.
But she'll start at number 1.
Okay.
I'm licking the pencil. Number 10.
Top 10 reasons to visit Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Number 1, watch a Stars road game.
Number 9.
Number 2.
Okay, she's not going with the Letterman bit. It's okay.
I told her to go
Ryan
1
told me to go
I know, but you could still list them like a Letterman show, guys.
All right, number 10, guys.
No.
What are you guys?
Just
You're
keep
just like
reading.
weirding the segment.
Oh.
This podcast is out of control.
2.
Number 2, see the Royal Winnipeg Ballet. Number 3, visit the Western Canada Aviation Museum.
Well, that is exciting because there are some famous Canadian fighter jets there.
Number 4, time to do a Google search. ... Number 5, still searching. ... Number 6, this is tougher than we thought. Number 7, ever been to a Tim Hortons?
Number 8 is just asterisks, which I find. Oh no, sorry, just
Ellipses?
ellipses. Sorry, fuck that up.
Number 9, any suggestions?
And then the best.
Number 10, go visit Vancouver instead.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, Donald Trump will be here. So come on back.
A couple questions from Twitter.
Okay.
Steven at Nux.net, name is a nice little nod to us. If you were the GM, if you're in the GM seat, what moves do you make for the Canucks? Paul, got anything? Are we staying the course?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I'd still sell.
I would sell, I would sell Yannick Hansen and Burrows, and which is trade that everybody's the Tanev talks are seeming to be quite.
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard a rumor Tanev to Dallas, but that might have been the last pucks on net.
He's also apparently going to Anaheim, and
Damn
Florida,
it, we're gonna get
probably.
BX in return.
and listener Craig Gillies or Giles, Thistle Canuck. How also Tanev for Nugent Hopkins, to which I will say, no, thank you at all.
Yeah, no.
Is Tanev a commodity?
Yes.
Yeah, Jim Benning said the Canucks are deep on D and he wants to move a defenseman. Maybe if you're moving one of these like depth bottom 6 guys, they have a lot of guys who should be bottom pairing defensemen.
Mm-hmm.
Like Eric Branson. I'm okay with moving 1 or 2 of those.
But Tanev is basically the best defenseman.
You can't move any of the key contributors because
unless
they
you
they don't really even have a proper like top pairing. Tanev and Edler are good guys. They'd be a really solid second pairing.
And as we've discussed, Edler doesn't even play defense. That's what they're asking for in those shorthanded games.
So, I mean, yeah, I'd sell off some guy. It's tough, though, because, yeah, Yannick Hansen might be a good one to move.
Mm-hmm.
I might consider keeping Burrows just because you could sign him on the cheap, and he's been good, I think, with Bo and Sven and as a veteran guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind keeping the Sedins if they don't want to leave town, and after next year, they're probably going to take a pay cut, too, if they stay here. But, yeah, I mean, dump anyone else, veteran, Miller, Hansen. I'd still look at moving Gabranson because...
Well, he'll be an RFA. We'll get him for
They're
cheap.
not going to move him. They're not going to move him because they're really dedicated and they think he's a top pairing guy. But
right. That's what we were
they've got a lot of
sold on.
guys that are like really good bottom pairing, need to do some evolution before they can be top 4 guys.
Yeah.
And he's one of them, in my opinion. I like him, but he's going to get overpaid just because of the hype and his draft position.
Yeah.
So I like Spiza better than Gabranson this year.
If the exchange for Tanev is maybe package him with a certain troubled your local boy currently playing in Utica for some sort of fancy Colorado Avalanche, young kid, I'd be okay to that. But I mean, it's got to be something good in return.
Yeah, you're going to get picks in all likelihood. In return, you're going to get that lottery ticket, which isn't always the best.
I bought a lottery ticket last week. Guess what happened?
$10?
Nothing. Nucks on Net. Steven also asked, will there be new T-shirts for 2017?
That's a question for you, Ryan.
I'll get bored probably around April, and I'll come up with something, and it'll be the same color as the other one, and it'll look pretty damn good.
Ryan's designed all the shirts himself.
Oh, stop.
With a little input from me.
Yeah, don't put my face on it. Why are you putting my face on it? Why, love of God?
I sadly was the one that suggested putting faces on it, if I remember correctly. I was why is it random players' faces? Make it our faces. And then you did it, and I was like, no. And it happened.
You proudly wear our faces on your chest.
I gave mine away.
To your mother?
To my friend, but I bought one for my mom. She asked for one.
Right.
Every now and then I see my dad rocking it. I'm like, there's a proud dad.
Didn't he wear it at Christmas?
Yeah.
Or something where a large bird was cooked?
Probably.
Brian T. Klein asks, with the Asinine playoff push, does Jake Markstrom get 30 games this year?
Well, what's he at?
I'm not sure what he's at, but I think 30 is fair. I think Willie's going to injure the shit out of Ryan Miller's sensitive, delicate groin.
And then ship him?
No, and then just and bring up Richard Bachman, AHL Player of the Week.
Hooray!
And does Ryan Miller get re-signed for 1 year till Demko? I'd say yes.
The way they're playing it right now, which is weird, but...
Alan Atmansky, friend of the show, he is loving that we are back to 80s style hockey games, 7-6 games on a nightly basis. When I had my bout with gambling, did not like the 7-6 finals in some cases.
When was that? I thought this week of Canucks games was like 1-0, 2-1.
During my bout of gambling, which is over, I'm out of it. I would bet on the Canucks to be boring and so I'd win money there. But then all of a sudden you'd think that King Henry would shut the door, and then it's an 8-7, Donnie or these goalies like Braden Holtby, who's supposed to be this stud in that, or Carey Price, they're all struggling.
Oh, I see. The Green Bay Packers should have been going to the Super Bowl.
Yes, I think that the Green Bay Packers are all wearing those new tiny fitted goalie pants, and that's why they shit the bed last night. But I don't know. I couldn't explain the 80s hockey. It's fun to watch.
Got it.
But I mean, you got to know some assistant coach up top watching a video is just ripping his earpiece out of his skull, and just Dan Cloutier would be getting chased. Nobody's chasing Dan Cloutier. He's doing the chasing.
I haven't been watching any of the, if I watch a game, it's low scoring. I don't know what it is.
I know, me too.
Bad luck. I'm I never get to see those games.
I think we're running out of time. Should we?
We're definitely out of time.
Well, should we?
Don't we decide what time is?
Are we going to bait and switch, or are we going to do dump and chase?
Can I just? There was something about Scotland in the tweets. I seem to remember.
Oh.
And I wanted to wish all of our Scottish listeners and everyone a happy Burns Day. A little early. Happy Burns Day.
Oh.
As a fellow Scotsman.
And I just wanted to say for Alan Atmansky, we want him to know he's been listening for a while, that we're all thinking of you, and we're hoping for the best. So pull through and just stay rad, and just listen to, if you need to pick me up, we got 190 of these episodes. Or maybe you don't want to listen to it. Maybe not. But
there, one or two of them are gems.
Do you want to do a quick update of Dump and Chase?
Yeah, I feel like we've been hyped and people have been waiting for it for months for us to bring it back.
It's been 2 weeks.
So, folks, if you don't want to hear about internet dating, is that what this is about?
A little bit.
Then turn
about
it off.
Life.
But yeah, this is not hockey talk as opposed to the rest of today's.
Who turns it off when we talk about dating?
Donnybrook of
Who's Donnybrook? Is that your Scottish friend?
The rest of today's episode, which was totally on topic, hockey related.
I'll edit it all out.
I went on my first Tinder date in months.
Yes.
You want to tell everybody? I've got a couple of books on my coffee table. You want to tell them what they are?
This one's a New York Times bestseller. Edith Han Beer wrote it. Big fan of her work. And it's called the Nazi Officer's Wife: How One Jewish Woman Survived the Holocaust. Real feel good pick me up tale. And the second one on Geeta's coffee table next to the mixer.
Just a little gift from my dad.
Holocaust: A History, written with a distinctive blend of moral intensity, attention to detail, and multifaceted breadth.
If you've been listening to us for a while, you know where my interests lie.
Geeta's a World War II buff.
I went out with a guy who was a member of the Israeli army on Friday night. And
Because of your interest in World War II?
No, I didn't know that at that time.
Okay.
I don't think I can actually ever see him again.
Yeah, she's reading these books and swipe right.
I was just confused with the lead up. Sorry,
She wanted to talk shop with him.
I didn't. I got a little freaked out. I was like, this is a little intense. I don't think I can actually do this again. But there were a whole host of other reasons why a woman can't go out with a man like that, when having nothing to do with what he had done in his past life.
It could be of any.
Yeah. You know what? As a guy, or to guys out there, show up with a little bit of confidence, and even if you're not secure, fake it.
That's what I try to do.
That's what everybody
Faking
does,
it.
Paul.
Oh,
and
that's good to know.
Because Brian knows, I started texting him sometime in the middle of the day when the text from the guy started coming in to me, where he's like, where basically he was telling me he had no vehicle, so he'll be busing wherever we were to go.
Which is fine. It's a very busy city.
Yeah, it's fine. But also, you could cab. You don't have to tell anybody your mode of transportation.
Now, where did he ask you again?
And then he wanted us to meet. It's Friday night.
It's a Friday night. Happen in town.
Yeah, it's Friday night in
Very
Vancouver.
very unaffordable, very livable.
Yeah.
And go on.
He suggested that we meet up at the Taqueria on the corner of Broadway and Cambie.
There ain't nothing wrong with tacos. Now, is this like a
Except
hipster?
they're like, $3 tacos or whatever.
He's frugal. I like this guy.
Yeah, but then you're telling a girl, you know what, I don't, like, and I suggested, I go, okay, well, if you're busing, why don't we just meet in Yaletown, because there's a direct SkyTrain line.
And you can take a zip line down from your 23rd floor here.
There's a whole host of restaurants. You can go anywhere at various price ranges. You know what? I would have respected a man who told me, let's go to the Earls for a couple of drinks.
But no, discount taqueria.
And it has nothing to do with like the taco place. I'm just like, that's not where you want to go on a date.
There's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah, and
that's a second date.
That's
That's a 19th date when you're like, well, we gotta eat something.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We could have gone there on the 19th date, not on the first date. So when I suggest, he's like, where do you want to go? I'm like, how about Rodney's? As you know, Rodney's is a favorite of this group.
Last week described as Hooters for Women by Dave. He's not here this week.
Right, that's Rodney's.
It's a fun place to go.
They call it Hot Rods.
And he's like, oh yeah, I was there last week. And then I'm waiting for him to suggest something or say okay or what. And I'm like, so what do you want to do? He's like, oh yeah, I don't want to go anywhere too pricey.
$3 tacos.
I was like, oh, okay.
And this is a first date?
This is a first date.
And he says he doesn't want to go somewhere.
I want to just chime in and now, to all the male listeners, I hope we've got some insight here. But I would just like to say, from my personal experience, you never want to eat tacos or Mexican food anytime in the vicinity of somebody that you've met or started dating. There's a comfort level that needs to be there, because this is unrelated. Now, this is the perfect segue, because I had an instance where there was a girl that I was seeing for a bit that I met off of the internet, like all things that start here and dump and chase.
Oh, I just want to say, I might have gone out with this guy again if all he did was show some confidence.
And subscribed on iTunes.
And we don't want a Stephanie situation. I did talk about the podcast. I hope he doesn't go looking for it.
Don't find us.
I would have gone out with the man had he shown a level of confidence and just taken control of the situation. None of this wishy-washy, and I am poor. Let me continue to tell me about my debt as we're having dinner.
What kind of debt was it? Student loan debt?
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Gambling debt?
Well, and
Him and I could get along.
And he just moved.
Moving is expensive. Anyway,
This is a sad dump and chase.
dump and chase is
Hey, look,
sad.
Dump and chase isn't always going to be fun.
Well, I could tell my story because, this one time, this girl I was seeing off the internet, like, I don't know, this is like the 5th or 6th date. She came over to watch the hockey game, first off, afternoon game against Nashville. But she's like, oh, I'm going to Steamrollers. Do you want some? And I said, okay, yeah, I guess so. So we ate the burritos, and then, what everybody does, you get bored from the Predators day game against the Canucks, and you venture to do other things. And in that moment,
You were going to have sex.
or is in the process of it, I had to say, hold on a second, give me like 5 minutes, and then I had to go run to the bathroom. And then the toilet plugged.
Ew.
And then I had to run back and tell her
Ew.
that there was, I don't know what I told her, but that was it. And it was like, I had to run back and I had to say, just give me like 5 minutes. And then I had to take a shower. And then I said, okay, maybe we should go home.
Maybe we should just cut the dump and chase out. There's too much dump.
Oh.
I didn't see her again afterwards.
Yeah.
But you went back to Steamrollers.
No, I'm a Chipotle kind of guy.
Okay.
So that'll wrap it up for this week's podcast.
Oh,
We're sorry on that sour note.
I love that story. There's a lot. There's a couple more elements to that story which I'm not going to tell, but it's a good one.
Well, I mean, if we want this to be recurring, stay tuned for more horrendous, horrific dates.
I've got some good horrific dates that I'll talk about. I was going to talk about a different one this week, but it totally passed by. But yeah, make sure you follow us on Twitter at PucksOnNetCA or PucksNetCa. And like I said last week, if you haven't yet, rate and review the podcast on iTunes. That is currency for us. It's the best way to help the show. Just take 5 minutes to do it, and it goes such a long way.
It's no arts council money, but
Yeah, well, it's half the effort too. We had to provide resumes. All I'm asking you to do is go in your app, rate and review it, 5 stars, something nice, something sassy, whatever you like. I'm holding my hand like Donald Trump here as I say these. And you can just get the podcast wherever you get it from. We're almost everywhere. Like us on Facebook. We've got an Instagram account now. And I think that's about it. Anybody got any closing remarks?
no.
Do you want to go to the library, look for some
I want ice cream now.
from Ernest?
Sure.
Bit of a trek.
It's worth the drive.
Are you
If
making
they
me drive
sponsor.
us for ice cream?
Draw them up a sponsorship agreement, and then we'll go over
The
there.
ice cream will be on down. We won't have to pay a cent.
There you go.
Certainly won't be for steamrollers.
Fuck, boo, you know,